Hi, second grade. Today we're going to learn all about timelines. The learning target for today: I can understand that changes over time can be described using dates and timelines. What is a timeline? A timeline tells a story. Timelines are graphs that show the order in which events happened on a straight line. One of the best ways to show events in time is by using a timeline. How do we see how things changed or what happened over time? We can see it really clearly on a timeline. Here's an example of a timeline on a straight line of Apple computer, what they started at in 1977 and what they are finished with around 2010, what the products that they've made. How do you read a timeline? Timelines are read from left to right or top to bottom. As you read, you learn which events happened first, second, third, and so on. So if you start reading from the left, that means that the first events are going to be on the left. If you start reading from the top, that means the first events are going to be on the top. The last or the most recent event, so in the timeline, goes back in time. So the first event is going to be the oldest date and the lowest number. And the last event on the timeline is going to be the larger date, the higher number, and the closest to our time now. So here's a timeline of different phones. You can read it here from left to right. On the left, it says the first telephone was made in 1876. And then we'll go all the way through all these different phones and all these different dates. And we'll come all the way over here, and the smartphone was invented in 2011. That's closest to 2021, and that's the latest or most recent event. Things to remember when making a timeline. A timeline can show years, months, days, and then it can also have images and pictures of drawings related to those events that happened during this time. A timeline can be about a person's life, when they were born, and all their different events in history, inventions that we just saw, and anything that happens over time can be on a timeline. Do you want to make a timeline together? Let's try. So here's the chart that you had in your lesson before. This is a chart of all the inventions in New York. Let's make a timeline of all the inventions in Syracuse. So first we're going to look at the column that says where it was invented. That's how we'll know which inventions were made in Syracuse. So up here it says New York location made famous by the invention. All right, so I'm going to look there. That's where I'm looking, in this column. Then I'm going to scroll down with my eyes, and I'm going to find the inventions that say Syracuse, New York. Okay, here's 2 and 3. Awesome. That's number 2. Find all the inventions from Syracuse, New York. Number 3. Now we're going to look for the oldest invention. That's going to be the first invention. And remember, the oldest invention is the smallest number. So I'm looking across here. This says year 1848. Okay, 1867. Wow, 67 is more than 48. So this happened after 1848. And this says 1893. So that happened after both of them. So 1848 is the earliest invention. What did they invent? The dentist chair. All right, so let's go to our next slide where we're going to have our timeline. So we're going to invent a timeline, or we're going to write a timeline of inventions from Syracuse, New York as our title. And the first thing that was invented in 1848 was the dentist chair. Let's add a picture of the dentist chair. Yeah, 1848. What was invented? Dentist chair. We have to have this information. And maybe people want to see what it looks like. So here's the chair. All right, let's go back. Okay. So now we see baking soda, 1867. Aha, baking soda, 1867. There's a picture of baking soda. And now we're going to add the very last thing to our timeline. Bread knife, 1893. Look, 1848, 1867, 1893. The numbers are getting bigger. They're getting later or more recent in time. And here's a picture of a bread knife. Great. Now you know how to make your own timeline, and you're going to make your own timeline all about the inventions of Brooklyn, New York. You will have a similar line like this, and you will look at the chart, find all the inventions from Brooklyn, and enter them into your timeline. I can't wait to see what you make.